Aliko Dangote, the name echoes across Africa. From humble beginnings, he built an empire. His company, Dangote Cement, dominates the continent. He's a visionary, a philanthropist, a symbol of African success. Forbes consistently ranks him as Africa's richest man. He's a household name, his face on billboards and magazine covers. Dangote represents the potential of African entrepreneurship. He's proof that you can build a global business from African soil. His story is an inspiration to millions. He's a testament to hard work, determination, and shrewd business acumen. But even kings face challenges. In the complex world of business, rivalries are inevitable. And when you're dealing with an entity as powerful as the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, things can get messy. This is the story of one such rivalry, a clash of titans that shook the very foundations of the Nigerian economy. The NNPC, it's not just a company, it's a behemoth, the lifeblood of the Nigerian economy, the source of its wealth, its power, and often, its problems. For decades, NNPC has been the gatekeeper of Nigeria's vast oil reserves. It's a state-owned enterprise, answerable to the government and often shrouded in controversy. Accusations of corruption and mismanagement have plagued the NNPC for years, yet it remains a force to be reckoned with, wielding immense influence over the nation's economic and political landscape. The NNPC's reach extends far beyond oil. It has interests in gas, power, and even real estate. Its tentacles touch every aspect of Nigerian life. Some argue it's too powerful, too entrenched in the system. Others say it's a necessary evil, a vital cog in the machinery of the Nigerian state. One thing is certain, when the NNPC sneezes, the whole of Nigeria catches a cold. Dangote and the NNPC. Two giants, operating in the same arena. For years, their relationship was one of mutual benefit. Dangote Cement needs fuel for its factories, and NNPC provides it. But as Dangote's empire grew, so did his ambitions. He ventured into new sectors, including oil refining. This brought him into direct competition with the NNPC, challenging its dominance. And so began a feud that would send shockwaves through the Nigerian business world. It was a clash of ideologies, of public versus private, of old money versus new. The feud played out in the media, in the courts, and in the corridors of power. It was a battle for market share, for influence, and ultimately for the future of the Nigerian economy. Nigerians watched with a mix of fascination and trepidation. The feud had real-world consequences. Fuel shortages, price hikes, and political instability followed. The business community was divided, some siding with Dangote, others with the NNPC. The saga became a cautionary tale about the challenges of doing business in Africa, but it was also a story of resilience, of the entrepreneurial spirit thriving even in the face of adversity. The Dangote NNPC feud became a lens through which to view the complex dynamics of power, politics, and business in Africa. The bad blood, it didn't appear overnight. It simmered slowly, like a pot of jollof rice left unattended. At first, Dangote and the NNPC, they were partners. Dangote needed cheap fuel for his cement factories, and the NNPC had it in abundance. A mutually beneficial arrangement, or so it seemed, but ambition, it has a way of changing things. Dangote, he wasn't content with just cement. He saw opportunities in oil refining, a sector dominated by, you guessed it, the NNPC. Now imagine a lion and a gorilla sharing a watering hole. They coexist peacefully, until the lion eyes the gorilla's territory. That's what happened here. Dangote's foray into oil refining was a direct challenge to the NNPC's dominance. The NNPC, used to being the top dog, didn't take kindly to this. The seeds of discord were sown. The first public spat, it came over fertilizer. Yes, fertilizer. Not as glamorous as oil, but crucial for Nigeria's agricultural sector. Dangote, ever the businessman, saw an opportunity to import cheaper fertilizer. The NNPC, with its own fertilizer plants, felt threatened. Accusations flew back and forth. Dangote claimed the NNPC was trying to maintain a monopoly, stifling competition. NNPC countered, saying Dangote's imports were undermining local production. The government, caught in the middle, tried to play mediator, but the damage was done. The fertilizer feud, it was a sign of things to come. A public display of the growing rift between Dangote and the NNPC. It showed that this wasn't just about business anymore, it was personal. The tension, it spilled over into other sectors. Sugar, for instance. Dangote, with his sugar refineries, was competing with, surprise, surprise, companies linked to NNPC bigwigs. The government, in a bid to protect local industries, imposed import restrictions. Dangote cried foul, alleging the restrictions were designed to benefit his competitors. He argued they were hurting consumers by driving up sugar prices. The NNPC naturally denied any wrongdoing. They said the restrictions were necessary to curb smuggling and promote self-sufficiency. The whole affair left a sour taste in everyone's mouth. It showed how deeply intertwined business and politics were in Nigeria, and how easily personal rivalries could escalate into full-blown economic battles. By now, the lines were drawn. On one side, you had Dangote, the self-made billionaire champion of private enterprise. On the other, the NNPC, a behemoth of the state used to calling the shots. The media, they had a field day. Every move, every statement was scrutinized, analyzed, dissected. The public watched on, some entertained, others worried. The feud, it became a proxy war for a larger debate. About the role of government in the economy, about the future of Nigerian business, about whether a single company, even one as powerful as Dangote Cement, could take on the might of the state. The stakes, they had never been higher. The Dangote and NNPC feud, it wasn't just a spectator sport. Like a tornado ripping through a marketplace, it left a trail of destruction in its wake. Small businesses, dependent on a stable economy, felt the pinch. The uncertainty, the fluctuating fuel prices, it made it impossible to plan. Some businesses, they were forced to close shop. Others, they clung on for dear life, hoping for a break in the storm. The impact, it wasn't just economic. The feud, it poisoned the business environment. Trust, a crucial ingredient in any economy, evaporated like water in the Sahara. Companies became wary of investing, afraid of getting caught in the crossfire. The Nigerian economy, already fragile, took a hit. The Dangote and NNPC feud, it was a stark reminder that even giants, when they clash, can crush everything beneath their feet. Foreign investors, they watched with a mixture of amusement and alarm. Nigeria, with its vast resources and youthful population, had always been seen as a land of opportunity. But the feud, it made them think twice. Is this the kind of place we want to put our money? They wondered. Uncertainty breeds caution, and caution. It doesn't bode well for investment. Some investors, they hit the pause button, waiting to see how things would play out. Others, they looked elsewhere, to countries with less drama, less political risk. The feud, it tarnished Nigeria's image as an investment destination. It sent a clear message. This is a market where power struggles can trump market forces. The feud, it wasn't just about Dangote and the NNPC, it became a symbol of a larger malaise, a crisis of confidence in Nigeria's institutions. The government, seen as either unable or unwilling to rein in the feuding giants, lost credibility. The public, they started to question whether the system was rigged against them. This erosion of trust, it had far-reaching consequences. It fueled cynicism, apathy, and a sense of hopelessness. What's the point of playing by the rules, people wondered, when the big boys get to make their own? The feud, it exposed the fragility of Nigeria's institutions and the urgent need for reform. The feud also highlighted the complexities of doing business in Nigeria. The regulatory environment, often described as opaque and unpredictable, became even more so. Companies, they found themselves navigating a maze of rules, permits, and licenses, often with little clarity or consistency. The feud, it created an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty. Companies became reluctant to speak out against unfair practices, afraid of retaliation. The lack of transparency and accountability, it only emboldened those who benefited from the status quo. The Dangote and NNPC feud, it wasn't just a business dispute, it became a national conversation. People took sides, passionately debating the merits of each case. Some saw Dangote as a hero, a champion of the private sector. Others viewed him as a ruthless tycoon, trying to bend the rules in his favor. The NNPC, for its part, was either the defender of national interests or a bloated, inefficient behemoth resistant to change. The feud exposed deep divisions within Nigerian society. Divisions along economic lines, political affiliations, and even ethnic identities. It showed how easily business rivalries could spill over into the public sphere, exacerbating existing tensions. The Dangote and NNPC feud, it was a microcosm of Nigeria itself. Complex, contradictory, and always full of surprises. The Dangote and NNPC saga, it wasn't just a Nigerian story, it resonated across the African continent. Like a drumbeat echoing across the Savannah, it reminded everyone of the challenges and complexities of doing business in Africa. See, Africa, it's not a monolith, it's 54 countries, each with its own culture, its own history, its own way of doing things. But there are some common threads: the legacy of colonialism, the struggle for economic independence, the delicate dance between governments and corporations. the Dangote NNPC feud, it brought all these issues to the fore. It sparked a continent-wide conversation about the role of big business in Africa. From Cape Town to Cairo, business leaders paid attention. They saw in the Dangote NNPC feud a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most successful businesses are vulnerable to political headwinds, that navigating the African business landscape requires more than just sharp business acumen. It requires a deep understanding of the local context, the unspoken rules, the power dynamics at play. The feud, it became a case study in business schools, a topic of discussion in boardrooms. It forced people to ask tough questions. How do you balance profit with purpose in a continent grappling with poverty and inequality? How do you engage with governments without becoming entangled in corruption? There were no easy answers, but the questions themselves were a sign of progress. The Dangote NNPC feud also highlighted a paradox at the heart of many African economies, the resource curse. Nigeria, blessed with abundant oil reserves, should be a wealthy nation. Yet it struggles with poverty, unemployment, and underdevelopment. Why? Because reliance on a single commodity, especially one as volatile as oil, can be a double-edged sword. It creates a culture of dependency, stifles diversification, and fuels corruption. The Dangote NNPC feud, it was a symptom of this deeper malaise. It showed how the fight for control of resources can distort markets, undermine institutions, and hinder progress. But amidst the gloom, there was also a glimmer of hope. The Dangote NNPC feud coincided with the rise of a new generation of African entrepreneurs, tech-savvy, globally connected, and determined to do things differently. They saw in the feud not a deterrent, but a challenge. A call to action to build a more transparent, accountable, and equitable business environment. This new generation, they weren't afraid to challenge the status quo. They understood that business success wasn't just about making money, it was about solving problems, creating jobs, and building a better future for Africa. The Dangote NNPC feud, it inadvertently fueled their ambition. The Dangote NNPC feud, it dominated headlines, sparked debates, and exposed the fault lines in Nigeria's economy. But like all storms, it eventually subsided. The lessons, however, lingered on. They served as a reminder that in Africa, business is never just business. It's always intertwined with politics, culture, and history. The feud also highlighted the urgent need for a new model of African capitalism, one that is more inclusive, more sustainable, and more responsive to the needs of its people. The Dangote NNPC saga, it wasn't just a story about two powerful entities, it was a story about Africa itself. So, you want to do business in Africa? Welcome to the jungle. It's a wild ride, full of opportunities and pitfalls. Think of it like a safari. You've got your lions, the established players, your gazelles, the agile startups, and your elephants, the governments and big institutions. You need to know how to navigate this terrain without getting trampled. First rule, do your homework. Africa is not a country, it's a continent. Each country has its own unique business environment. Don't be that guy who shows up in sandals and shorts expecting a walk in the park. Research the local laws, customs, and business practices. Know who you're dealing with. And remember, in Africa, relationships are everything. Section 2. Dancing with Elephants, the Art of Engagement. Governments, they're the elephants in the room. Big, powerful, and impossible to ignore. You can't fight them, so you gotta learn to dance with them. This doesn't mean being corrupt or unethical. It means understanding their priorities, their concerns, and their motivations. Engage with government officials, but do so transparently and ethically. Build relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Remember, governments are not monolithic. There are different factions, different agendas. Find your allies, those who share your vision for growth and development. Section 3. Building bridges, not walls. The power of partnerships. In Africa, collaboration is key. Don't try to go it alone. Partner with local businesses, entrepreneurs, and communities. They have the local knowledge, the networks, and the insights that you need to succeed. Look for win-win situations where both parties benefit. Share your expertise, your resources, and your success. Remember, building a sustainable business is not just about making profits, it's about creating shared value for all stakeholders. Section 4. Beyond the bottom line, the long game. The Dangote and NNPC feud, it taught us that short-term thinking can be costly. In Africa, you need to play the long game. Invest in building trust, nurturing relationships, and understanding the complexities of the local context. Don't just chase quick profits, focus on creating lasting value. Invest in your employees, in the communities where you operate, and in the future of the continent. Remember, The most successful businesses in Africa are those that understand that their success is inextricably linked to the well-being of the continent and its people. Section 1. The moral of the story, more than just Kobo and Naira. So what's the takeaway from this whole Dangote NNPC saga? Was it just a juicy tale of two titans locking horns, a corporate soap opera with billions at stake? Sure, there was plenty of that, but look closer and you see it's about something bigger. It's about the soul of African business, the challenges and opportunities of a continent on the rise. The Feud showed us that in Africa, business isn't just about balance sheets and profit margins. It's about navigating complex relationships, respecting cultural nuances, and understanding that success is a shared endeavor. It's about recognizing that every business decision has a ripple effect, impacting not just the bottom line, but communities, the environment, and the very fabric of society. Section 2. The Dangote NNPC Playbook, Lessons for Aspiring Titans. What can aspiring entrepreneurs, hungry investors, and even seasoned business sharks learn from this clash of the titans? Plenty. First off, remember that even giants cast shadows. Understanding the political landscape, the regulatory maze, and the power dynamics is crucial. Never underestimate the importance of building strong relationships. You're not just doing business, you're becoming part of a community. Secondly, transparency and ethics are not just buzzwords, they're your shield and your sword. In a landscape where corruption can be a tempting shortcut, building a reputation for integrity is invaluable. Lastly, think long-term. Don't come in expecting to make a quick buck and leave. Invest in the future, in your employees, in sustainable practices. The real winners in Africa are those who contribute to its growth, not just profit from it. Section 3. The Future of the Savannah Cooperation or Chaos. The Dangote NNPC feud serves as a cautionary tale but also a springboard for a larger conversation. What kind of business environment do we want to see in Africa? One where rivalries escalate into destructive feuds, or one where collaboration and healthy competition drive progress? The future of African business hinges on choosing the path of cooperation. This means fostering dialogue between the public and private sectors, promoting transparency and accountability, and creating a level playing field where innovation and entrepreneurship can thrive. It means moving beyond the zero-sum game mentality and embracing a future where everyone has a stake in Africa's success.